Hey, okay. Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to Easy Markets Daily Pitch International with me, Darius. Today's the 2nd of October, 2023. So, yeah, welcome, everyone. Welcome to the second month of autumn. I hope you had a wonderful September. I hope everything went well for you. Look, in my previous webinar, I've asked people to kind of write me if they how did they do, how was their month, was their month of September. Did you end up in profit or did you end up in loss? So that's really, like I said, it's really interesting. Don't worry. I mean, even if you ended up in a loss, that's fine. We can figure this one out and maybe try to do something with it. But again, of course, you'll be the judge for pulling the trigger yourself. But I'll look at the markets and I'll evaluate those, and then you'll make your own decisions, and then maybe this month will be a better one for you. However, if you already had a good September, congratulations. Wonderful, guys. I mean, let's see what we can squeeze out of October now. Casey Lewis, hello there to you too. I hope you're having a wonderful start of Monday morning. So look, before we jump into the charts, as always, just a quick mentioning. Actually, no. Before we mention that, we need to have a read through our risk disclaimer. So let's do that first. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendations and should not be considered as such. So this material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. Look, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest. I'll disappear from that little left corner in there for a while because I want to correct my lights here a little bit because I think you're getting blinded by my bald head right now. But yeah, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so maybe this is a little bit better. I don't know, guys. I mean, honestly, I think the reflection from my bald head is way too strong, but okay. No, what can I do? Mother Nature made me like this. So yeah, I'll have to just deal with it. Anyway, so guys, before we go further, as always, just a quick mentioning of our Easy Markets website, which you can always check out for more information about us. So yeah, just if you have any questions, let me know. Oh, I can see there, Danny H7011 made profit for September. Now, I'm not interested in the monetary value. I'm interested in the percentage value. Let me know what was your percentage. Like, I mean, how much did you do? And it's just out of curiosity in there. Don't try to. If you did good, okay, but just be honest. I mean, if you if you just, like I said, let's not brag. But yeah, just out of curiosity, what's the percentage? Because that's quite important. So Nikkei 225, guys. Again, looking at this one as always, the first one. So for now, what we're seeing here is just some sort of a random move here. And first of all, this downside line that I talked about, no longer needed. Let's adjust it. Let's adjust the chart and get rid of that one. If you're looking for some higher or lower levels, well, as I said before to you last week, in order to consider a move to the upside, I would like to see a push above the 50-day EMA right here in order to consider a move towards this downside resistance line drawn from the high of the 16th of June. Now, in terms of the downside, right now, the downside scenario seems to be kind of working out first, working out nicely because I said to you that if we do drop below the 100-day EMA, then yes, I will consider a move a little bit lower. If you're looking for that extra confirmation or something like that, then let me just grab a line here. Then you can keep an eye on this little hurdle right there. Basically, this 31,700 zone. If we clear that one, then yes, I will consider slightly lower levels because the forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. So, China, look, China is not going to be the most interesting one this week because it's closed basically, so they're not really doing much. They're on holidays, so you know, I wish I could get like a holiday like that for a week, but that's fine. You know, at the moment, look, what can I say? This whole week, yeah, China is off, and this index here, the China 50, will most likely be vulnerable to the other moves in the market. So yeah, these are the futures here that I'm talking about. So let's say once it starts kind of, you know, trading again, then yes, we could see, well, we could see this one following actually the following suit, you know, from and following the European ones and the US ones, and but basically the European and the US indices have something to move to this week, but I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, at the moment, that's not much here. Not much here that I can say about China 50 index. I need to see a pop above that 12,721 territory in order to go higher, and for the downside, a drop below this 12,282 zone right there, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. But of course, I mean, we could already start looking at some lower levels from a break of this upside line. I mean, that's another good option, but again, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Probably me, I'm going to start looking at some lower levels already from a break of this upside line, and then we'll take it from there. ASX 200. So, ASX 200, also something that Australia and traders of Australian indices and Index 1 mainly, and Australian currency. Yep, everybody will be watching the news tomorrow. Why? Because, well, because, because we do have the RBA interest rate decision coming out tomorrow, and that's going to be very, very interesting to watch and how that's going to play out, because in a way, look, we do have the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, kind of coming, well, potentially they're not going to go for an interest rate hike, so they're going to keep it as at 4.1, and that's the current expectation. But as we know, we did get some surprises in the past from the RBA, so hey, let's see how that's going to play out, of course, because their inflation is still, let's say, relatively high, and yes, it is declining, but I think that yes, they're keeping, well, we're keeping a close eye on it, and it has been moving lower from the beginning of this year, let's put it this way. So currently it's around 6%, but hey, I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious to see what's going to happen with the RBA, because are they going to just, you know, leave it as it is, or maybe they will say, you know what, let's go for another hike, because we're seeing inflation kind of maybe let's say in some picking up in some regions and some not. So if you're asking my personal opinion what's going to happen, I think that they're going to keep it at 4.1. However, I don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately, so only like my letter ball, which is shining like hell, honestly. But look, it's a difficult one right now, because again, it seems like inflation is going down. That's fine. So maybe they will actually take the stance, you know, and say, you know what, let's keep it at 4.1 for now. Let's see if inflation somehow picks up again. If it starts picking up, then yeah, then we will jump in. But we saw, for example, PCE numbers coming out last week in the US. Those kind of were flat, and or in some cases actually lower a little bit. But I'll get to that in a bit when I'll pick up on the US indices. So here, I would say what I'm doing with ASX 200 is I'm observing well, my technical levels, basically, because if we are not expecting much excitement from, let's say, from the RBA, let's say in terms of either hiking or or cutting, then I'm leaving everything for the technicals, basically. And at this point, it seems like we want to go lower, but we're struggling with the 7,040 zone. So if we get clearance of that one, then yes, great. I will go a little bit lower. But if we push above the 7,106 territory, then yes, great, I'll get a little bit more excited with the upside, but only up until here somewhere this 7,150 or this or these EMAs right here, and then I'll take it from there. So I'm gonna keep it short and simple, and then just gonna go slowly with my levels. Danny H, I can see that 2.7%, so that's very good. I hope you were not risking too much, but in general, 2.7, that's great. If you can keep that, I mean, you probably know it yourself. So if you can keep consistently somewhere around that, like in between 2 and let's say 4%, something like that, that's great. That's wonderful. Honestly, you're doing well. And if you can keep that on a monthly basis, then that's great. Because look, that's in general, everybody should approach trading this way. You should not go for, let's say, mega profits or anything like that. No, if you want to stay in this game for longer, you have to kind of keep your appetite a little bit on the lower side, because try not overeating and try not over gambling and trying to capture these bigger profits and stuff. So yeah, how can I fix this? Honestly, sorry, just a sec. Mm. I don't know if this is better. Oh, yes, there we go. Less light reflecting from my bald head. Okay, it became a little bit darker, but that's fine. I think I'm in the shadow a little bit right now. Okay, wonderful. So, but yeah, like I said, coming back to that 2.7%, that's great, wonderful. I'm quite happy for you, and like I said, keep it up. Honestly, very good. Especially if you can also manage to keep your drawdown on the lower side. Things happen. I get it. Like that's fine. Sometimes the market is unpredictable, but if you can yes, and be patient and go touch the grass. What do you mean by go touch the grass? I mean, you mean like don't fly too high and stay on Earth a little bit. Not try not to go way too into the clouds. And is this what you mean? Let me know. Anyway, so jumping into the indices again, Dow Jones Industrial Average. So first of all, I want to pick up on this because look, first of all, I have drawn some of these. I've drawn a few levels, and this Fibonacci last week. I think that the Fibonacci can go, no longer needed because it didn't kind of really work out well. I think what worked well was the fact that we pushed back above this highlighted zone, and we climbed closer to this 200-day EMA, which provided good resistance, and then we drifted back to the downside. So if you're looking for some lower levels, I think that, again, a drop below this highlighted zone right here, below that 33,800 territory, somewhere around here, and then, yes, this could open the door towards some lower levels. Look, we do have this upside line right here, let me fix this a little bit. So we do have this upside line. It's a tentative one, don't get me wrong. Sorry, Danny H, get outside, don't watch charts all day. Yep, absolutely, totally agree with you. People need to remember to think about something else than the market. That's very important. That's really, really important. You have to do something. You have to kind of, keep your mind in shape. You exercise, you walk, you whatever, like you just kind of push your mind away from charts, from trading. That's really, really important, so but anyway, everybody finds their own strategy, so hopefully you can find yours as well. But not talking about you Danny, you probably already know what you're doing, so that's good. But if you're new in this, I would say, like I said, just try not to go way too crazy into trying to capture the profits or big profits. No, that's that's not the point here in trading. So coming back to this situation here, look, I mean, how we can look at this. At the moment, I really don't like this setup. I would say if I want to go lower, then yes, I will wait for a drop below the 33,800 zone, and then maybe this upside line as well, just for that extra confirmation. And for the upside, now at this point, I think I'll take a very cautious and conservative approach, and I'll wait for pop above the 200-day EMA. If that gets clear, then yes, I'll go a little bit higher towards the other EMAs here. So that's going to be my simplistic approach here on the Dow. And don't forget that this week we do have a bunch of good data coming out from the US. Honestly, like almost every day. Starting off with today. So we today have what the ISM manufacturing PMI numbers according to the calendar. Let me just jump in into the calendar very quickly. So where's that beginning of the week? October 2nd. So October 2nd. This week. Let's put it this week. So there we go. So today we do have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI, the final numbers, ISM Manufacturing Employment, and of course ISM Manufacturing PMI number coming out today. It is expected to come out a little bit higher, but to be honest, that's still not good because we are in contraction territory. If it comes back above 50, great, then we're in expansion territory. But at this point, I would say just yeah, keep an eye on it. It will be quite interesting to see how it's going to play out. According to the calendar here as well, we do have a few speakers. The Fed Chair Powell and a bunch of other guys speaking. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to watch as well. So we start off this week already straight away from today. You know, like as last week, for example, it was from Wednesday. You know, Monday, Tuesday was kind of a a slow start, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when we were starting to be getting hit by data. And yeah, so starting off today, check out the economic calendar, guys. I mean, honestly, we do have a bunch of interesting stuff coming out, and especially tomorrow as well. In the morning, we have the RBA interest rate decision, and the on Wednesday we have the RBNZ interest rate decision. So just keep that in mind. So coming back to the Dow, look, and that's why I will allow it to play around here somewhere in between the 200-day EMA and this upside line. If one of them get violated, then that's from where I will consider the next short-term directional move. The S&P 500. So yes, beautiful hold up near this highlighted zone of mine. So this area is between the 4,350 and 75 levels here. So yes, we have remained below this highlighted zone. If we do fall below the 200-day EMA, then that's from where I will go a little bit lower. And again, I'll target some of these lower levels, which I do like at this point. But let's not rush into things. Let's go slowly. For the upside, I need to see a pop above the 4,375 territory in order to consider a larger correction to the upside. NASDAQ 100. So this one is a little bit looking more, a little bit better, I would say. Yeah, and look, we do have, like I said, a bunch of data coming out. So just keep your economic calendars open and just kind of, like I said, constantly stare at those this week because tomorrow, for example, we also have the JOLTS numbers, JOLT opening numbers in the US. Wednesday we'll have the ADP numbers, so something to keep in mind, not to mention the ISM non-manufacturing. So today we have the manufacturing. On Monday, yes, today we have the manufacturing. On Wednesday we have non-manufacturing. So basically you can get confused with all that stuff, but hey, unfortunately we have to kind of stay on the ball. Look, from the technical perspective at the moment, just like say ignoring all the data, I'm looking at some higher levels potentially on this one. On the NASDAQ 100, we stayed above the 100-day EMA right here. So if you're looking for some higher levels, then yes, there is a good chance for this one to go to the upside a little bit, especially as long as we stay above the 14,955 territory and above that 100-day EMA. If you're looking for some lower levels, I think at this point for me would be to wait for a drop below this highlighted zone near the 14,600. Let's round it up 10, or in general the 600 zone as well. So now if we do fall below that, my next target is the 200-day EMA. The German index, DAX, there we go. This one is interesting. We do have European data coming out this week. Interesting European data as well. So on Tuesday we do have that retail. Let me just October So yeah, RBA interest rate tomorrow, and then we do have the retail sales. I think on let me just double check. Is that Wednesday? Yeah, okay, that's on Wednesday. So services PMIs, services PMIs, composite PMIs coming out. So, and then retail sales, that's all coming out on Wednesday. So Wednesday could be an interesting day for the Euro and the DAX. Not to mention that we do have other data coming out from Germany as well. So honestly, the calendar is just full of these little bits, you know, where you might think that, hey, maybe it's not going to have much effect, but actually it's going to just, you know, hit that market when you're expecting it the least. So and yeah, like I said, we do have interesting stuff coming out, and we have the Windows speaking on Thursday. So yeah, okay, that's going to be good to watch. Yeah, you can see Canada numbers here kicking in as well, but I'll get to that in a bit. But look, coming back to the German index here, so we had a nice hold up near that 15,600 territory. Okay, so that means that it became quite an important one to watch. So look, last week I talked about this, and I said to you that if we do pop above the 15,511 territory right here somewhere, and we pop above the 200-day EMA, then yes, I'll go a little bit higher. The 15,600 territory is the next one that I'm watching. Yeah, we reached that one, great, but we failed to stay above it. So we failed even to pierce through it. So that's a good important area to watch. So if we do clear that, then yes, I'll go a little bit higher towards my other EMAs here, the 100 and the 50-day EMAs, shown as the green and red lines respectively. Now, in terms of the downside, now I do have my arrow back here from this 15,511, but I think it's better to adjust a few things here. So I think this one can go. This highlight, actually, I'm going to reuse it. I think, yeah, I'll better reuse it. So I think that maybe this could be an interesting one. So if you're looking for something a little bit more reassuring, maybe a drop below the 15,265 territory would be required. I know it's a lot of territory to miss out on, but don't forget that this could drift lower, find support somewhere maybe around here in the midpoint here, and then reverse back up, creating a higher low, and then it's going to go for a higher high again. So yeah, just keep those elements in mind. That's why my downside scenario is from around here now. So from this, excuse me, from the low of last week near the 15,265 zone. This downside line can go, no longer needed. I think it's just going to be in the way. But yeah, I think this is the better option right now to consider. These are the slightly safer options in my opinion, but again, let's see how that's going to play out. The FTSE 100. So the FTSE is so far from the technical perspective is doing everything what I would like it to do. So it's still balancing above this upside line. That's great. It did try to push above the 7,700 zone. That, yeah, it was great as well, but then it failed to stay above it. So it drifted back down. However, like I said, it's still remaining above the upside line here, so there is a good chance for this one to move back to the upside. Now, in terms of economic data from UK, let me just quickly double check this. I mean, today I think that it's a little bit on the quiet side. We do have the manufacturing PMIs coming out from the UK today. On Tuesday we do have what? Let me just double check this very quickly. Not much actually from UK on Tuesday. Wednesday, what? Wednesday, composite PMIs and services PMIs. Okay, that's going to be interesting to see. Then there's nothing. Then on Thursday we do have this housing. I think something. Okay. Wait, construction PMIs. Why is there this calendar? I'm looking at another calendar, and somehow it seems like they're kind of conflicting with each other. So let me just quickly double check here. So when manufacturing PMIs coming out on today. Tomorrow we do have the this is not interesting. This is not so Wednesday we do have composite CIPS, final composite PMIs and services PMIs. Then on Thursday, we do have construction PMIs. Okay, so yeah, we do have construction PMIs. And on Friday, Halifax House Price Index. Okay, that's interesting to see. So, look, basically, I think that this will be subject to movement in the U.S. and in DAX in Europe. So yeah, I think those are going to be the drivers of this one. But again, keeping an eye on those data sets that I just mentioned is also something to consider. So let's keep an eye on that one. So from the technical perspective, yes, I'm still going to stick to the same game plan. A nice good pop above the 7,700 territory, and if we stay above it, then yes, I'll go to the upside. If we want to look at some lower levels, a break of this upside line and a drop below the 7,600 territory would be required. US dollar index, we're still trading above the upside line drawn from the low of the 18th of July. And yep, if we do move nicely to the downside here, then yes, if we break this upside line, then yes, I will consider slightly lower levels, but I think that I'll get more comfortable with the downside if we do fall below the 105.44 territory right there, and then we'll take it from there. For the upside, I need to see a push above the 106.54 territory just to be a little bit more safe. Yeah, just to be a little bit more safe, to be honest. All this territory right here, I'll remain neutral and just observe the price action. But to be honest, this little structure here looks a little bit bearish. Yeah, I need to see that confirmation break first. So yes, it looks a little bit bearish, but yeah, a confirmation break for me is required. Gold looking good. Gold looking good. Honestly, looking good. I mean, look. Last week I talked about this one, and before in the past I said to you something like this, that if you think that it's done falling, it will fall a little bit more. If you think it's done rising, or it's enough, it had already enough rising, then it will rise a little bit more. It's always the case. So some of you probably were already, jumping in somewhere here near the 58 zone, 1858, but actually, as you can see here, so we fell below that 1858, and this is what I talked about. I said to you that my next target is the 1835 territory, somewhere around here, marked by the inside swing high of the 9th of March. Slightly below that, we do have the 1824 zone as well. Good potential target, but look, at the moment, I would say there is still potential for some downside, guys. And yes, we are a little bit overstretched to the downside, but let's put it this way, as long as we stay below the 1858, I will continue targeting the downside. So in other words, I'm going to be aiming for something around here. In order for me to consider the upside, well, at this point, maybe actually I can get rid of this, no longer needed. I can keep this downside line. I think this is still okay. But if I want to go to the upside, I will wait for a push above the 1858 territory in order to consider slightly higher levels. So yeah, that's going to be my game plan. Silver is also quite bearish, so we cleared this territory. Look, I talked about this, and nothing major here, but everything's in line with the idea which I've mentioned. So yes, there is still potential for this one to drift lower. Look, if somehow the dollar, breaks lower and starts drifting heavily to the downside, then yes, maybe we'll see a nice reversal here back to the upside. So at this point, I would like to see a push back above this upside line in order to consider some higher levels. So yeah, that's going to be my game plan for the upside. But at the moment, looking at this, I mean, it's quite bearish. But I think, let me just double check something here. I think it's best to target this little territory for now. Yes, and this, and I think yeah, there we go. That's, I think, that much better. So let me just grab this highlighted zone. I will, oh, nope, I don't need this one. So yeah, I think that this is the better option right now to target this territory. This territory is between the 21.30 and the 21.47 levels. So yes, if you're looking for some lower levels, then there is still a good chance for this one to drift to the downside. Platinum, very quickly on platinum, I talked about this one last week. I've kind of dedicated some time to this one. And we had a beautiful rebound from this highlighted zone here, this lower side of the range where we're currently sticking in or sitting in. We are currently in a range, as you can see here. So we are at the same time, I'm also keeping an eye on the falling channel. And for me at this point, okay, this is a tricky one. Look, maybe it's going to pop higher. I mean, if it does, and if it does break this downside line and stays above it, because as you can see, last week we came to test it. And if we do break this downside line and stay above it, I'll go a little bit higher within the range. For me, in order to go to the downside, I think this is where I need to make a few adjustments. So a drop below the 890 territory could do the trick. And if we stay below that area as well, then yes, I will go to the downside. My next target will be the lower side of the falling channel, because we should not kind of exclude that option, because maybe it will find good support and then rebound back up. So, yep, we should not let's say, ignore it. But if it gets broken, fantastic. You know, we could go further south. Oil. Let's jump into oil. Let's see what's happening here. If my chart is gonna stop freezing, perfect time for a sip of tea. So, oil. Okay, look. Last week I've drawn this Fibonacci, and I think that it stopped working. So, I mean, in general, it's okay. Actually, you know what? No, it's okay. It's still okay. You know why? Because although we had this violation here, if we do pop back above this this barrier here around this 93.75, something like that, 64.75, something like that. So yes, if we do pop back above it, we could also pop above the 50% retracement on the Fibonacci right here, and then I'll target my 97.66 territory right here. If that gets clear, then my next target is the 61.8. So that's going to be my game plan for this. Now, in terms of the downside, a break of this upside line is needed. If we get that break, then yes, I will consider a move lower towards this upside support line drawn from the low of the 28th of June. Look, at this point, yeah, that's my, like I said, that's my game plan. If we do break this steeper upside line, then yes, I'll aim for this 88 or actually 88 zone in general, and that gets clear, then this 38.2% retracement of the Fibonacci could be a nice good target, together with this steeper upside line, and then we will go from there, and then we'll see what can we do from. But at this point, I am just, I would say, cautiously bearish, but for the upside, I need to see a push back above the 50% retracement here, back above this 93.75 territory. Natural gas, just a quick update. So I spoke about this, and I told you to keep a close eye on this one. Okay, that's all fine here. Everything's working out nicely. But yeah, look, at this point, we are not really doing much. I'm waiting for clearance of the upper side here of the range in order for me to go higher. So we have been testing this upper side a few times already, but once it starts clearing it, that's great. That's where we could see a little bit more action on natural gas. So yes, at this point, I'm just observing it. I'm just observing the price action. Wheat. Fantastic. I've talked a lot about this last week. I've talked about this barrier right here. I said to you, wait for it. Wait for the breakout either through this downside line or this 573 territory. And look at this beautiful thing. So we got that break below that key support zone. Wonderful. My next target is this 533 zone. Actually, my arrow needs to be all the way here. That hurdle is right here. That's the low of the 16th of September of 2020. Look, I think that there is still potential for some more downside on wheat. It will present itself with a nice opportunity probably later on, but at this point it is a little bit on the bearish side. Bitcoin, there we go, pops nicely, and this is where I've mentioned this barrier here. I said to you that, look, if we push and stay above this 26 something, what, 26,968, or in general the 27,000 mark. If we do stay above it, then yes, great, I'll go higher. My next target will be this 28,440. Well, we came very close to it. I think it's testing it, but I think that mainly we kind of got we fell in love with this 28,115 zone, but that's okay, that's fine. So in a way, if you are aiming for this, mission accomplished for you. If you're aiming for that, then there is still room for some upside. So let's see if we can reach that. But look, so far it did a good job. Now I would say I think that this, I can drag this highlighted zone here, and I can draw and mark this barrier. So this is quite an important barrier now becomes. If you're looking for some higher levels, I think that yes, nice could pop above it. If you've missed this if you missed this move, then yes, nice could pop above this 28,150 territory would be ideal. For the downside, if you're looking for some lower levels, I think that now it's time to get rid of this downside line, and we can actually use it and draw a steeper upside support line drawn from the low of the 11th of September. So if that gets cleared, if that gets cleared, then potentially more buyers here. More sellers here could join in, especially if we do fall back below the 27,000 mark. So just keep an eye on that one. At the moment, even if we do retrace to the downside, any throwback back to this upside line could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. So just keep that in mind, guys. So if we do correct back down here, so just keep an eye on this upside line. But if we start clearing the 28,150 zone, then yes, great, potentially more buyers could join in. Ethereum is well, mission accomplished on Ethereum. So there we go. I talked about this 1668 territory. Great, we popped above the 50-day EMA. We reached my 200-day EMA, so that's wonderful. So yeah, look, if you want to go to the upside, further upside, then a push above the 200-day EMA is required. My next target then will be this one right here, the 1800 mark. This has been an inside swing low here, acted as a good area of support previously. Now we could take a look at it as good possible resistance. So yes, for now, you can, like I said, let's keep an eye on this, and let's wait and see, guys. At the moment, like I said, we are trading near the EMAs. If we do push above the 200-day EMA, then yes, I will go a little bit more to the upside. For the downside, for all those sellers out there, let me just grab this arrow. For the downside, a few adjustments have to be made. So I think that it's best to keep an eye on that 1668 level, the one that I talked about, the one that I looked at the barrier as a breakout barrier for the upside. But now I'm going to look at it as a breakout level for the downside, because at the same time we would fall below all of the EMAs on our daily chart. And then we will aim for this area right here, this zone. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that. Polkadot, also beautiful move to the upside. So there we go. I said to you before that if we do clear this steeper downside line, my next target is the 50-day EMA or this downside line. We almost reached the 50-day EMA. I will take it as a success. Now my question is, can we go a little bit higher? Well, I'm still kind of targeting this downside line here, drawn from the high of, what's that, 19th of February. Look, it's a very tentative line, don't get me wrong, because we did have some violations here. So maybe it should be drawn this way. Yeah, and actually this probably could work out better. So, and this point here, if you're looking for some higher levels, then maybe a push above the 50-day EMA could do the trick here, and then we could aim for that 100-day EMA, which is not far from that downside line. Now let's jump into a few pairs, guys. AUDNZD, this is the pair that I'm going to be watching very carefully, because on Tuesday we have the RBA interest rate decision. On Wednesday, we have the RBNZ interest rate decision. So this pair could walk. I mean, this pair could be an interesting one this week, guys. So we are already seeing some declines. We've cleared the lower side of the range here. I talked about this previously. So now my question is, can we go further south? Well, look, it's a early hours in Europe, and I'm looking at this. Okay, look, I mean, we already broke this territory, but if by any chance, by the end of the day, this drifts back up here and stays above the lower side of the range, we'll have ourselves a very, very beautiful false breakout. At the moment, of course, it's we cannot say anything about the false breakout. At the moment, it's just kind of drifting lower. But the fact that it's staying below the 1.0707 territory right here, that's something that I am keeping a close eye on. And if I'm looking for some lower levels on this one, well, I do have a bunch of interesting targets, like for example the 1.0608 territory, or maybe 1.0560 territory right there. But again, let's wait and see. Let's keep an eye on it, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. I think that this is an interesting target, the 1.0644. I mean, we did have a few violations, but I think that this might be an interesting target. So the first one, if we stay below the 1.0708 territory, then yes, I will target the 1.0644. For the upside, I need to see a push back above. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to start already aiming higher if we do push back above this territory, back above the lower side of this range. AUDJPY, just a quick update. So this is flirting with the 95.86 territory. That's great, actually. So in general, we've reached my target, the 96.83. We've hit that. I said to you that if we do pop above the 95.86, on my next target is around here. If that gets clear, then yes, certainly I'll go higher. But at the moment, I'm just going slowly. So at this point, the fact that it's holding above the 95.86 zone, that's great. So if you're looking for some higher levels, then you still have a chance to go there. But if somehow it starts pushing back down and starts breaking this upside line, then, well, that's from where I will get excited with the downside, and then I will drift lower, and I'll aim lower if we do break this. Upside support line. That's this territory right here is just going to be a neutral one for me. I'm just going to observe the price action. But if it breaks this upside line, then that's from where I'll go a little bit lower. NZDJPY is something else to keep an eye on here as well, because, and that why I wanted to pick up on this one, because we've tested this territory, this 89.70 zone. So we violated a few times, and we are still near that area. So we're kind of struggling with this. We're struggling to push further north. And look, I get it. We already kind of did quite a good move to the upside in the short period of time. So maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible. And maybe this 89.70 territory could work out perfectly here. So could kind of come in line, show a little bit of hold up. And then maybe also we have ourselves, a nice kind of ascending triangle pattern here. So where's my rectangle here? So yeah, something like this basically. So maybe this is a nice triangle pattern here, ascending triangle pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the upside, of course. But look, at the moment we need to see the pair staying above this area. If we stay, then yes, I'll go further north. And for this one, I mean, I need to really go into, okay, we don't have much history here. Okay, then in that case, you know what? I'm going to go for that 91 zone. That's a nice, good number. We'll see if we can reach that. So, but for that, I need to see this pair staying above this hurdle here, this 89.70. USDJPY, another interesting, very interesting pair. Look, I mean, we're all waiting for that Japanese central bank decision. Are they going to intervene or not going to intervene? We are already testing that 150 zone. I think we're close to that. Okay, well, what can I say? We're not there yet. We didn't test exactly that level, but we're very, very close. So I think that it will be very interesting to see if we can reach that, or actually will we, reverse and sell off. So I think that at this point, the further we go to the upside, the more I'm going to lift my arrow for the downside. So if you're looking for some lower levels, I think that a drop below this 148.85 territory could be ideal. So yeah, if we do fall below that, I will consider a bit of a move to the downside, guys, at least towards my 50-day EMA. USD CAD is also an interesting one here. So we popped and stayed above the 1.35 zone again. We reached one of my other targets here, the 1.3575. We are getting currently a hold up here. So basically, if you're looking at the if you're looking at some higher levels, then yes, I would say a nice good pop again above the 1.3575 territory. It could be ideal. If you missed this area, this this move, okay, that's fine. Don't worry. I mean, there's always going to be another opportunity, and like I said, for me, the other opportunity is to keep an eye on that 1.3575 territory. And if we do get a nice pop above this and stay above this, then yes, I'll go a little bit higher towards the 1.3640 initially, and then maybe this downside resistance line drawn from the high of the 13th of October of last year. For the downside, I need to see a drop below this territory somewhere around here, this 1.35 zone, and then I'll consider a larger correction to the downside. USDCHF, this one's already correcting lower. So yeah, there we go. So we're falling back below the 0.9148 territory. This one, the highlighted zone. I talked about this. So yep, if you're looking for some lower levels, a drop below this area is required, and we're getting that drop right now. So my next target will be this 23.6% retracement on the Fibonacci here, drawn from the low of the 27th of July to the high of, or should I say, from the lowest point of July to the highest point of September. Yes, this is, like I said, this is what I'm going to be aiming for, the 23.6% retracement. And that's roughly around the 0.9065 level, something like that. For the upside, pretty straightforward. I need to see a pop above the 0.9222 territory, and then we'll take it from there. A forthcoming higher high will be confirmed. GBPUSD, this one is quite interesting. So it's trying to make its way higher. And look, last week I talked about this. I said to you that I'm going to be aiming for that 61.8% retracement. And we did reach the 50. That's fine. Then we retraced back down, but we stayed above the 23.6% retracement on the Fibonacci. And that's roughly around that 1.2182 zone. So we stayed above that area. So if we do push again higher and we do clear this 1.22 zone, once again, I'm aiming for the 38.2 and then the 50 and then the 61.8. That's going to be my simplistic approach here on GBPUSD. For the downside, I need to see a drop below the 1.2110 territory right here. All this area right here, I'll just leave it as a neutral one for me. Euro Aussie, very quickly, beautiful rebound from the lower side, or actually beautiful rebound from the 200-day EMA. We have to be honest here. So I do have this falling channel here on the chart, but yes, I think that the 200-day EMA did a better job, and we're seeing a nice rebound. Yes, I'm aiming for that 100-day EMA again, or maybe even the 50-day EMA. But around here, near the 50-day EMA, we have the upper side of the falling channel. So maybe still it could drift back down and still could go lower. So yes, be careful a little bit on this side. Be careful with the with the upside, because like I said, we still have these two barriers to overcome. But if we start clearing those and we clear the upper side of the falling channel, well, guess what? We'll potentially consider some higher levels. And EURJPY. So we're still in the range. Look, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because basically it's still valid, still the same game plan is valid. I talked about this and said to you, well, look, we're in the range. We need a clearance of one of the sides here, and we need to see either a push above this 158.53 territory somewhere around here in order to consider some higher levels. For the downside, and a drop below the 156.87 territory would be required, and then we'll consider slightly lower levels. Not going to go crazy or anything, but no, just going to go initially towards that 100-day EMA, and then I'll take it from there. And finally, EURUSD. So yes, beautiful kind of hold up near this 1.0483 zone, and we rebounded, we pushed higher. Look, we tested my target here. This on Friday, the 1.0617. That's great, and this is where I said to you that, look, if we stay below this somewhere, there is a good chance for this one to drift back down. So look, I'm kind of considering maybe actually a bit of a move back up here again. And again, see if this is going to hold. If it's going to hold, great. I'm going to go a little bit more to the downside again. For the upside, I need to see a pop above this downside line here, and then we will take it from there, guys. So long story short, if you are looking for some higher levels, then I think that just wait and relax until we get a break of this downside line, because any move up until this downside line could be classed as a temporary correction before another possible leg of selling. So, but I think that we might not even test that. We can just maybe test this territory and then drift back down. So look, we are at the moment at a tricky spot. Yes, I get it. We have declined quite a lot, and maybe, you know, this could be that, you know, nice opportunity for a recovery a little bit. True, that is true. We could consider that. We can also consider the Fibonacci's here, which I need to extend to the right a little bit. Yep, there we go. So we could, but look, let's be reasonable for now. For now, there's still, like I said, potential for some downside if this barrier here, let me get rid of this Fibonacci for now, if this barrier here holds nicely. So that's it, guys. That's it for this session. I hope you found it useful, and really thank you very much for tuning in and watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that. It's a difficult Monday morning probably for some, but hey, let me recap a few things. So first of all, keep your eyes on the economic calendar today, because we do have a bunch of data coming out, and depending on what you're trading, of course, I mean, and I think that if you're trading something very popular, then yes, we could see some interesting shifts in those instruments, some popular indices and some popular pairs as well. But yes, keep your eyes on those. And don't forget that this Friday we have the NFPs from the US. So and if I normally say that, look, maybe it will be quiet and then the market will just kind of wait until Friday, in a way, yes, but I think that the separate pieces of data could influence, you know, the market, and kind of we could see some big swings. But let's say it could, you know, swing higher and then lower, and then, you know, kind of, you know, have this big amplitude here and there. But it might actually at the end of the week, kind of, it's still at the end of Thursday, let's say, stay somewhere at the same level where it started off on Monday. And then kind of Friday, maybe that will determine the direction, you know, where we could go further. But in general, don't exclude the big swings that we could get from a few certain pieces of data this week before Friday. And then, of course, yes, Friday, everybody's watching the NFPs. But look, join me tomorrow. I'll pick up on some other data. We'll look at what happened with the RBA tomorrow, because those guys are releasing their rates early hours in the Asian morning. So yes, we'll pick up on that one tomorrow. And yeah, like I said, join me this week every day, 6 o'clock GMT time, for a quick market refresh. And yeah, we'll go from there. But at this point, guys, have your stop losses in place. You know, risk only what you can afford to lose. Don't overtrade, and everything will be fine. And stay safe, of course. So thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Hey there, thank you very much for watching this one till the end. I really appreciate that. So like this video, we speculate your next mouse movement will be towards the subscribe button.